Hello, everyone. It's Lisa Hoover, spreading the knowledge. Today, what I wanted to talk about is the important role that the real estate agent plays in the home buying process. So, when we talk about real estate agents, we're talking about who, what, and kind of the role that they play. So, the first thing I thought that we should do is we should look at the realtor's ecosystem, right? And so, as you can see, the most in the middle of this process is the real estate agent, kind of the focus of what we're talking about here, right? And so, with that being said, the realtor is kind of the person that kind of makes everything happen, or that at least each of these individuals that we're going to talk about in just a second interact with, right? It's the buyer, who the buyer interacts with, who's the seller, the inspection, the lender, the title company, the home warranty company, and the appraisal, right? All of these people are in this ecosystem that is this home buying process. And I say home buying, but it could be for purchase of land, it could be a commercial property, it could be an investment property. You still kind of have the realtor like in the middle of it. So this is a brief overview of this process and the complexities that involved and the important role that the agent plays. So let's introduce the players. So of course, we have the buyer. That's the person that's looking to purchase a home, an investment property, commercial property, or land, right? And then we have the seller, who is the person that is looking to sell their product, which could be land, it could be some investment property, it could be a residential home, or it could be a commercial property as well. I think I covered all of those. And then there's the real estate agent. Again, in my opinion, the real estate agent is kind of like the glue that kind of holds everything together. It's the professional who assists the seller and the buyer through this transaction, because all of this leads to an outcome, which is the transaction. All right. Then there's the lender. The lender is is a very integral part of this as well, because most people are mortgaging. They're not buying any property with cash for the most part. So at that point, they're going to need a lender. The lender is the financial institution that provides the mortgage loan for the property. And then there is the inspector. The inspection, or should I say inspection, is the individual, the professional again, who's going to evaluate the property's condition, right? And the overall workings of the systems in the home. And then there's what I would call the appraiser, right? The appraiser is also like on this side, kind of an important person, because according to the lender, they don't really care whether or not the home is what the buyer offered the seller or what the seller listed as the price. They're looking at what does the appraiser say that the market value of that property is, right? Excuse my squiggly little circle, but and so they're going to rely on what the appraisal says, right? And they determine the property's market value, okay? And then the title company. The reason that they're important, because hey, we want to make sure if you decide to purchase this property that you walk away with a clear title. And they also facilitate the closing processes, which is where you either get the deed or the keys to the property. And then the home warranty. I want you to think of them as the people or the institution that offers protection for the home systems and appliances. So how many people do we have in this ecosystem? People, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about 8 people in this process, right? But again, who's in the middle? It's the realtor holding everything together. It's kind of the glue, all right? All right, so with that being said, let's talk about the role of the real estate agent. So they are often, and they should only be a licensed professional that can help you in the buying or selling of this real estate transaction. They're going to represent one of the people in this transaction, whether it be the buyer or the seller, right? They're going to help navigate the twists and turns of buying or selling the property, as well as assist with pricing, negotiations, marketing, and making sure that you have a legal and solid contract. Right. So that's what the role of the real estate agent is. And that's why they're kind of in the middle, but they kind of really play a part in all of these. Right. So I talked a little bit just now about the marketing skills. Right. And the reason that that's kind of important, I'm kind of going to talk about it, but not really in depth, is the importance of marketing, particularly if you are the seller in this transaction or this ecosystem, that you want to attract potential buyers, right? And so you're going to use a lot of online strategies, like you see the benefit of social media in the marketing, which is really huge. But most real estate agents use what we call the MLS, which is the multiple listing services, where all property is listed. But you know, there's so many companies that kind of pull data from there, and that is like Zillow, realtor.com, and those kind of places that often have what we call real estate websites. Okay. And so they also will list the property, but the person that's going to have most of the information first and most accurate will be the multiple listing service, or what we call the MLS, right? But marketing is not just for that. It's also for open houses. It's about leveraging platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And it's also about marketing on the seller side, that you have professional photos. Like if you're a seller, you want to make sure that you have professional photos, or someone that can create professional looking photos for the sale of your home, because high quality photos can represent the property in its best light. Okay. And also with this marketing, the new thing is virtual tours, right? So people can virtually walk through property to give buyers a realistic view of the property. But one thing I will say about this process, there's nothing like going to the property and having a feel for what that house will be like for you and your family. Okay. The other skill that I talked about, which I think is extremely crucial, is negotiations, right? And that's just a skill that a real estate agent should have, right? Because they're going to impact the outcome of that deal, their ability to be able to negotiate the best deal. And when I talk about the best deal, I'm not just talking about from the benefit or from the view of just the buyer who wants to get the best price, the lowest price they can get for the property. It's also for the seller, because the seller wants to maximize their amount that they can get for the sale of their property. And a good real estate agent is going to be able to negotiate a deal where everybody can be in a win-win situation, right? Also, it can help in other areas that we talk about as far as negotiation, and that is you can negotiate price. We just talked about that, right? We can, a real estate agent will be able to negotiate repairs and the terms. And what do we mean by terms? Like maybe instead of 45 days, you have 120 days. Maybe there's a condition that you as a buyer want to happen, or as you as a seller that you may need on your side of the transaction. And your agent's ability to negotiate will be crucial in that respect, okay? So negotiation is really a skill that I really suggest that you look for in your real estate agent, okay? The real estate agent also is crucial with regard to the lender. Yeah, the lender is going to be someone that you select. It should be. But your real estate agent should provide you reputable lender options. That's so crucial, right? You should talk to more than just one. You know, the rule is that you kind of hear always talk to three. And I would suggest that you talk to a little bit more than three, you know, because the good thing about when you're purchasing a home, you know, your credit will, the inquiry on your credit won't be the same as if you're purchasing a car or credit cards, right? So you have a little bit more flexibility and you have a little bit more options, so they can really discuss what needs to happen, what type of product you need in order for your family to move forward with this transaction. The real estate agent, with regard to the lender, should make sure that that person can explain the mortgage process. And oftentimes the real estate agent will be the aid for the lender, because the first point of contact for either the buyer or the seller in any transaction is their real estate agent, all right? And the lender should be facilitating timely communications, and the real estate agent can be instrumental in making sure that happens as well, right? So there's coordination with the lender in all of these three areas, right? Helping the buyer understand the mortgage options and the different products, and ensuring that there's timely communication between the buyer and the lender, because the agent really should be checking in with the lender to make sure that everybody stays on point and on time, okay? Then there is the home inspection. And to me, this is like a very crucial part of the process, because this is such a huge purchase for so many people that you shouldn't take the home inspection for granted. Now, I know during there's a time when, particularly during the pandemic, where people were just like, forget the home inspection because they wanted to win the offer, but you don't know that house, and you need to have someone, a professional, talk about the how that house works and to make sure that that happens. And so what role does your real estate agent play in that process? Well, they're going to recommend a qualified home inspector for you, as well as they're going to make sure that they schedule the home inspection and that they attend it so that they can help you understand the mechanics and all the things that's going to happen during that process. As you can see here on this, that was on the left, right? You can actually see the things that the home inspector kind of looks for. They're going to address all these things to make sure that you understand how your house works and all the parts that work in your house. I guess that's the way I always kind of think about it, right? And so that's really what they're going to do. And the most crucial part for your real estate agent as they coordinate with the home inspection or home inspector is this last part here, the home inspection report, because they take the information that the home inspector has indicated that there may be some areas of concern with the home, and then they do a report, and then they take that report and they do what? They interpret it and start negotiating repairs for the buyer, right? And so that's very important to make sure that you have a real estate agent that's going to review that inspection report and negotiate any necessary repairs with the seller. All right. The other part is with regard to the home appraisal. And this is kind of really crucial. Like the appraisal is really a third party estimate of what the home's value is. Remember, I told you early on, it's not what the buyer offered for the property. It's not what the seller is listing the property for. The appraisal is what the lender is going to rely on, which is this third party person who tells them what the market value of that house is. And your real estate agent is very crucial in this facilitating this appraisal process. No, your real estate agent will not select the appraiser. That is done by the bank, right? But they coordinate as far as the appointment and provide any necessary property information. Sometimes they may even share information that may be in the home inspection report as well, right? And they also ensure that the appraisal is aligned with the purchase timeline. There is what we call a due diligence period. I'm going to show you a little bit later that it has to be adhered to, and we want to make sure that that appraisal happens with that timeline and there's no delay in the transaction, right? And the agent is very, at times, I've often had some of my colleagues supply comparable sales data to help the appraisal have their valuation report, right? What are some of the things that appraiser is going to consider? Let's just kind of look at them real quick if we can, right? The appraiser is going to be able to talk about the condition of the home. And I don't mean like with the home inspection, right? We're talking overall the condition of the home, not necessarily how the home works. They're going to talk about the size of the home, right? Mostly we're talking about square footage, right? And we're talking about the size of the property lot. We're going to talk about the number of rooms, because the more number of rooms you have, the more value it adds to your home. We're going to talk about the quality of the light and the views. We're going to talk about if it has any special features like fireplaces or additions like the swimming pool, any finishing details. But what's most important that can boost your appraisal value is that, let's say you did some work or you did some upgrades, that they are trending and kind of what's in line, what's happening. That always adds value to your home. What the appraisal does not do is tell you that they don't confirm or deny anything for either party. They are a third party. And that's what's beautiful about an appraisal, because they'll tell you what it is and what it isn't. But what they will not do is a home inspection. Hello? A lot of people think and they confuse that with an appraisal. And to be honest, they're not the same, because an inspection is going to tell you about the home's condition based on its systems and its functions. The appraiser is going to tell you the market value. And that's so crucial that you have a real estate agent that explains that process to you, because, hey, if the appraisal comes in at value, then great, the process continues. If it comes at below value, right, below, which means below what was offered by the buyer and accepted by the seller, then again your real estate agent will have an opportunity to do some negotiations on the behalf of the seller, right? So that's going to be very crucial, right? The other thing is the title company, right? So your real estate agent, again, is dealing with all of these different people in the ecosystem, but one of them is the title company, right? And the reason the title company is so important is because they are the people that ensure that the title's good for that property, right? And that there are no legal issues or no encumbrances or anything that's going to interfere with your right to own that property free and clear, right? That there's no any defects. Nobody's going to come back in later and says, hey, this is my property. So they're going to help resolve any of that. And they ensure that all the documents that they need for closing happens, right? The title company also, just as an aside, could be one of the companies that will hold the EMD, or what we call the escrow, right? I mean, the earnest money deposit, and also hold the escrow. So the EMD is the earnest money deposit. And most of us, we tend to use that word like it's something that people should know, and they don't. And that is, it is a percentage of what the offer price was that was accepted, right? To show good faith. It's almost like a down payment, but it's really a good faith amount of money that you have spoken with your real estate agent and you've talked about that you want to provide as in conjunction with your offer to ensure that you can get the property that you are putting a bid on. Okay, so that the title company is important in that aspect. All right. So we talked about that. So now let's talk about home warranty. And to me, this is kind of important. The home warranty is the piece that I always talk to my clients about, because that's such a benefit. It protects the buyer from any unexpected repair costs. And I can tell you a gazillion stories, and that most agents can tell you a gazillion stories throughout their career where the home, if there would have been a home warranty, it would have made things a lot simpler, right? But they should also, your agent should help you and assist you in finding the appropriate coverage, right? You should talk to more than one home inspection company. You vet them like you vet lenders, like you vet everyone else in this process, right? And it helps you, so your real estate agent should help you choose a warranty plan that's going to be right fit for your family, right? And also they're going to make sure that the home warranty is in place at the time of closing, because these values that are listed here is much more than thousands of dollars in the process, because the reality of it is anything can happen at a given time. So let's kind of move on and talk about really the a success story, like what we can say about, hey, like this could happen, like this is a successful story. We have Erica and Ben, right? So we have Erica and Ben, and they've decided to purchase a home, right? So they meet with the realtor, they have a consult, and then they hire that realtor. And that realtor at that point begins to work on their behalf, right? And so thereafter, that real estate agent should send them to with a list of lenders, and they vet them. And then once they make a selection, they will make an application to get pre-approved, which is a little bit better than being pre-qualified, really. So they get pre-approved so that they can know what their budget is, and they start the home search process, right? And then the realtor takes you out and shows you a list of homes that kind of fit your criteria. Understand that there's no perfect home and that there's be some compromise. And then you make an offer on the home, and once the offer is made and it's accepted by the seller, you're officially under contract. The reason that I bring that up is because remember a little bit earlier I was talking about that due diligence period. That's when it begins to run, and it's calendar days, not business days. And what do I mean by that? They take weekends and they count them as well. So things begin to happen. Inspection has to happen with every time frame that has been agreed upon based on the contract. The appraisal normally is done 10 to 14 days from the date of the contract acceptance. Then there's the report that has to go back if something is found wrong with regard to the the home inspection. And then you're going to have your home warranty. You're going to have your HOA disclosures, your homeowner's insurance, which is something that the lender is going to require. But then right after you get your homeowner's insurance, I tell my clients, to my buyer clients, to make sure they go ahead and purchase a home warranty, and we set that up so they can vet. And then we're going to do a final walkthrough. Why do we do a final walkthrough? Because we want to make sure that the home or the property is in the same condition at the time that we went under contract, unless there were repairs that need to be made, and we need to make sure that those repairs were done. All right. And then within 3 days of that, you should get a closing disclosure or a signing of documents so that you can know kind of clearly what you're going to be paying and what your mortgage amounts are going to be, and all the terms that you will need and the money that needs to come to closing, and you get your keys. And that's really how the process works, right? And the reason that a real estate agent is so important in this aspect is because in any one of these areas, it could go left, right? And you want to make sure that you have someone who's knowledgeable and a professional that can help you navigate this thing, because making a purchase, particularly for a residential property, is extremely scary if you've never done it. And if it's been a while since you've done it, and you need to make sure that you have the asset of having a professional that's going to work on your behalf. Okay. And so if you have any questions, remember that, what's really important to me is that you understand how the important role that the real estate agent plays in this process, and that you make sure that when you select a real estate agent, you have someone that understands truly what your needs are and what are the needs of your family, and to make sure that they can deliver what you need. And what I mean by that is there's not going to be any perfect situation. If somebody tells you that there is, they're not telling the truth. There are going to be compromises that you're going to have to make, because we make compromises all the time in life. But what you do want is someone that is going to advocate on your behalf to make sure that you get most of the things that you have on your want and wish list. As always, I'm always wishing you the best, and ask the questions, and that your questions get answered. And I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that I was able to share some knowledge and import some knowledge to you about this home buying process. And I wish you nothing but success in any endeavor, as particularly as you embark on purchasing. All right. Have a great day.